Hello viewers, welcome back to the Moose Mobile Auto Repair channel, and today we're working on a 2024 Honda Accord Hybrid with the 2-liter engine, and we are going to be performing a brake fluid flush service. Now on this particular Honda, it takes either .3 or .4 brake fluid, so it's not going to matter as to which one you need to use. You can use either or. Aside from that, .4 fluid has a slightly higher boiling point compared to .3. So the particular brake fluid that I'm using today is .3, but if you want, you can also use .4 fluid. This one says .3 and 4. It's mainly because that .3 is backwards compatible with .4, but not the other way around. So if your vehicle takes .4, you cannot use .3 in a .4 system, but you can use .4 in a system that takes .3, but you just can't do the other way around. So anyhow, I'm just going to be doing a flush of the system. I'm not doing a bleeding of the system to purge the air out, but when you open up the bleeder screws on the calipers, they are automatically going to bleed some of the air out if there's any inside. We are just doing a brake fluid service on this. We are not bleeding the system. So I have all kinds of equipment to do brake fluid service, like a vacuum bleeder. I have a vacuum bleeder. It's by Medivac. The model number is MV6830. This one is specifically a vacuum bleeder, but I'm not going to be using that today. I'm just going to open up all of the bleeder screws and top up the brake fluid and just do a gravity bleed. It's just easier for me in some cases to do a gravity bleed. I know some shops, they do the same, or they have other equipment to do a pressure or a vacuum bleed. So it doesn't really matter as to which one you do, as long as you do a service and that you are replenishing the brake fluid, and that's it. Brake fluid is hygroscopic, so it's going to absorb moisture over time. So make sure you're using a brake fluid container from a sealed container, because you don't want any moisture inside the brake fluid. So before you start, you want to remove the reservoir. You can see over here, it says over here on the filler cap, it says .3 or .4. So you can use on whichever you want to use. So just make sure that if you're able to before when you start the service, it's best to suck out as much of the old fluid out of the reservoir, so that old fluid is not going through the system. So you want to try to keep the system as clean as possible. So I'm just going to suck out some of the fluid, and then we are going to start doing the gravity bleed. And one other warning is to be careful with the brake fluid, because if you spill it on the vehicle's paint, it can damage the paint on the vehicle. So you want to be extremely careful. So now we are just going to suck out some of the brake fluid. You can use like a syringe or turkey baster or something. I'm just going to use the vacuum bleeder machine to suck out the fluid. So now we are going to reinsert the filter and pour in the new brake fluid until the reservoir is full. So just keep on pouring it until the reservoir is completely full. So it's all the way full now. So we are going to proceed to open up the bleeder screws. So now, typically, if you are bleeding the system, the conventional way, the generic way, you would have to start on the right rear and work your way towards the master cylinder. So furthest away, and then you work your way towards the master cylinder. So the right rear, the left rear, the right front, and then the left front, because the master cylinder is located on the driver's side in this case. Now, on some cars that are right-hand drive is going to be the opposite. So if the master cylinder is on the right front, you have to work your way from the left rear and then onwards. So it will be opposite depending on where you live. But I live here in North America, so it's a left-hand drive here. Now, that's going to work in most cases, but the manufacturers, they have a specified brake bleeding procedure, because on most vehicles, on most modern vehicles today, they have something called a diagonally split system. So you have to check the bleed sequence for your particular vehicle to know on how to bleed it correctly. If you are doing stuff like replacing calipers and you need to bleed the air out, so you would have to look up on service information on the correct procedure. But today we're just doing a service, a flush, so we don't really have to do that. So for a diagonally split brake system, you might have something like the right rear and the left front on one line, and you'll have the right front and the left rear on the other line. So they are diagonally across. That's how a diagonally split system usually works. So I'm working very late tonight in the evening, so the sun is going down. So I'm starting off on the right rear. So we are going to open this up. Just take off the protective rubber cap, and this is a 10 millimeter. So you can use a 6-point wrench if you have one, and just open it up. Then we are going to open up all of the bleeder screws at the same time. You want to open all four on each wheel. So we are going to open this up first, and we are going to continue to open up the other ones. So we are going to open this up counterclockwise and just have a brake fluid bleed bottle with the silicone hose. You don't have to do this. You can use a drain pan if you want to catch the fluid. It's just going to make a bigger of a mess, and then you'll have to clean a lot down from all of the spillage. You don't have to do this, but I just chose to do it this way by using the bottles because it's just easier for me. If you want, you can use 4 individual drain pans. You can either buy them or you can make them. So either way, and whichever works for you guys. So I'm just opening up the bleeder all the way now. So this is the setup that I have. I have 4 individual of these bottles. You can also you can make one yourself if you want to use drain pans or whatever. It doesn't really matter. So we are going to proceed to the left rear now to open it up. So remove the rubber cap, open this up. We'll just leave that on the floor then. As you are doing this, you need to make sure that you are topping up the master cylinder. You don't want it to run low. So now we are at the right front. I'm going to open that up. And again, it's a 10 millimeter to open up the bleeder screws. You want to open up the bleeder screws all the way. So I just have the bottle here. You can see the brake fluid draining out. And now finally we're going to do the left front. These bleeder screws are very easy to open because the car is relatively new, but the customer drives quite a bit. It's roughly at 57,000 kilometers now, and Honda states to replace the brake fluid around 60,000 or every 3 years. So as the brake fluid is draining, you will need to keep on topping up the brake fluid. You do not want the level to get low, because if you let the brake fluid get low, then you are going to introduce air into the system, and then you are going to create more problems for yourself. So this is the setup that I have now on the vehicle. So I'm just draining everything from the calipers. Just make sure that you are topping up the fluid accordingly. So once again, I'm working late because it's the customer. He works very late, so this is the only opportunity in which I'm able to work on the vehicle, because the customer works 7 days a week, 12 hours a day. So this is the only time I can work on the vehicle. So it's very hard to get the scheduled time during the daytime. So the sun is going down now, so it's going to be a really dark video here. So I apologize, just bear with me. I'm just using some of my work lights that I have to show you guys the procedures. These procedures are going to be relatively the same for pretty much all vehicles. I don't think that anything has changed so far in the auto industry. So bleeding brakes is relatively pretty much similar on all vehicles. Give or take, it will be a little slightly different. This is going to be a relatively common and similar procedure on all vehicles. So once again, just keep on topping up the brake fluid. So now I've been having a little bit of trouble in trying to do the gravity bleed because the brake fluid stops after a while. So what I did is I have the vehicle and the engine running at the moment. I closed all of the bleeders up and I pumped the brake pedal several times or so, and then now I reopened the bleeders to do the gravity bleed again, but then it's going to stop at some point. So it's going to take a very long time to do this. So you're better off doing a two-man bleed, or to do a vacuum or a pressure bleed, because it's a lot faster on these hybrid vehicles. Because these vehicles have regenerative braking, so sometimes when you're doing a brake fluid service, or if you push in the calipers or something, sometimes the ABS and the traction control lights will come on. So you may have to clear the codes after the service. Otherwise, you are not going to have a firm, good brake pedal. I know on some cars, as soon as you clear the codes, the brake pedal comes back. You have a firm brake pedal, so watch out for that. If you have any warning lights, you may need a capable scan tool to clear the codes. So at the moment, you can see that the ABS light is on and the traction control light, and there's the other amber light that's also on. So later we'll grab a scan tool after we finish and clear the codes. And sometimes you may need to close the bleeders up again and pump the brake pedal like 15 to 20 times to get the brake fluid to flow. So as the brake fluid is draining out, just keep on topping up the master cylinder and just keep on repeating the process until the brake fluid comes out clean. The brake fluid bottle that I have is 946 milliliters, so that's 1 quart. So it's up to you on how much brake fluid you want to use, but you can use the entire bottle if you want until it's all finished. And once the brake fluid is all clean, then you can go ahead and close all of the bleeders up. Now on this particular vehicle is taking an awfully long time because it's a hybrid. And for some reason on hybrid vehicles, they're kind of like finicky. So they typically give me a hard time when I'm doing a brake service or brake fluid service. So I'm just trying to figure things out. This vehicle is relatively new, so I'm trying to figure some things out here. I did close the bleeders, all 4 of them, and then I went ahead and pumped the brake pedal like 20 or 25 times, and then opened the bleeders again. I know it's a very long process, so you are probably better off getting a helper or use a long screwdriver to hold the brake pedal down, to pump and to hold the pedal down, and to flush it out and bleed it then. It's because this process is going to take a very long time on this specific vehicle. On other vehicles, I don't have too many problems doing a gravity bleed. I do have a vacuum bleeder device machine, but I'm not comfortable using it because I don't want any problems, because sometimes the vacuum bleeders, they can introduce air into the system for some reason. So I'm just taking my time right now to bleed everything, to gravity bleed the system, and that's it. So I'm still waiting. I only got a little bit of fluid there. We're going to the back. There's quite a bit of fluid in this bottle. And you have a look at the other side. So the level is going down, but very slowly. So if you want, you can close all of the bleeders again and pump the brake pedal like 15 to 20 times or something, so it can build up some pressure, and then reopen the bleeders again. Uh, this is if you are limited with tools, you don't have that many tools and you don't have a helper to help you, then you can do it this way, but it's gonna take a long time. So if you want to do it this way, you may need to routinely to open and close the bleeders, but you got to make sure that you close all of the bleeders up before you pump the brake pedal. You don't want the bleeders to be open when you are pumping the brake pedal. So now I'm roughly at about half a bottle left. So I'm probably just going to wait until this entire bottle is depleted, and then I'm going to stop there. So now in my case, that while I was doing the gravity bleed, I'm not just sitting there and watching it. I'm also doing other services on this vehicle, like in oil change. So I already did the oil change as the vehicle was doing the gravity bleed for the brake fluid. So I don't just sit there and watch it, because that's going to be a waste of time. So I make sure that I have other services that I'm doing at the same time, but still at the same time you are watching the brake fluid reservoir to make sure it doesn't run low. So keep on repeating the procedure to flush out the brake fluid, and after you're finished, just close all of the bleeders up, and after you're done, just pump the pedal a few times or so, and just go from there. Just verify that the brakes are still good during a road test. Make sure that you have a brake pedal. If for any reason that the brake pedal is low or something, do not attempt to move the vehicle, because then you won't be able to stop. So once you're done, you can close up the bleeders. You don't need to tighten it down all that much, just snug, and you should be good. And then later I'm going to wash everything down with some brake cleaner. I'm going to wash everything down afterwards, and then after you're done, just reinstall the rubber protective cap. And just do the same for all of them. And we are at the right front. And now the left front. So now we're just going to clean everything down with some brake cleaner. Now the last wheel. So after you're all finished, just reinstall the reservoir cap. I cleaned this up earlier. There was a little bit of dirt on the inside, so I cleaned it up. And I forgot to mention earlier to make sure that you clean the outside with some brake cleaner before you open up the reservoir cap to prevent any dirt from getting inside. So make sure this is closed, and then we're just going to spray some of the brake cleaner to clean everything down. Make sure that you clean everything thoroughly. And that should be it. I'm going to go inside the vehicle to confirm that everything is working. The brake pedal is good, and then that's going to be it. So I just came back from a road test and everything is good. The ABS and all the other lights are all gone now. You can see here there's no more warning lights. The vehicle is running at the moment, and the brakes are very firm. They stop very well. So everything is all good now. So that's it for this one. I believe the ABS light and the other lights were on because I sucked out a lot of the brake fluid. So the brake fluid level got very low when I sucked out directly from the reservoir before I started the service. So that could be why. That could be the reason why. So it's probably best after you reinstall the wheels, go for a road test, and the lights should automatically go out. That's it for today. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please don't forget to give it a like, and please consider subscribing to my channel if you're not already a subscriber, and please don't forget to hit that bell notification if you haven't done so. And I'll see you guys in the next one. Have a good night and take care.